Welcome back to the deep dive. This is the place where we take these real-world conversations and just give you the tools, right?
Exactly. The essential English vocabulary you need to jump into those situations feeling, ready and confident.
And today we are stepping into, well, what can be a pretty overwhelming place.
A technology store.
Yeah.
If you, our listener, have ever needed a new computer but felt completely lost the second the seller starts talking about chips and gigs,
Which is most of us.
then this deep dive is custom made for you.
That's right. We're looking at a conversation between a customer, Alex, and a seller, Jamie. And this isn't just about laptops, it's about mastering the core English phrases, that practical language you need to explain what you want and understand what they're offering.
Our missions are really simple here. We're giving you a shortcut. We're going to break down the language of performance, what people call specs, the language of protection, so warranties, and the language of savings, or discounts. If you can master those three areas, you have everything you need to feel in control of that conversation.
Okay, so let's unpack that. 3 pillars: specs, warranty, and discount. If you understand how those words work in this dialogue, you can basically buy any piece of high-value electronics.
Absolutely. Think of them as the foundation.
So let's start where Alex started, which is, the pain point. How do you even begin the conversation when you don't know the technical words for what's wrong?
And Alex starts perfectly. Just says, my old one is extremely slow, and the battery only lasts about an hour.
It's so simple.
It's simple, but it's so effective. What's fascinating is you don't need jargon. You don't have to say, my CPU is throttling.
Exactly. Extremely slow and lasts about an hour tells the seller everything about the 2 biggest problems: performance and, well, portability.
And Jamie gets it right away and says, I see. That's a common issue. That's such a key phrase. It just politely acknowledges the problem.
It builds a bit of trust, right? And it lets Jamie pivot to the most important question.
The absolute most important question. What do you mainly use it for?
Yes. This is the sentence that separates the machine for checking emails from the powerful video editing station.
And Alex's answer is so specific, mostly for video editing and some graphic design. If you're learning English, that specificity is key.
It really is, and it requires a certain type of language to match it.
It does. For a demanding job like that, you need power. So Alex uses these precise phrases, something with a powerful processor and at least 16 gigs of RAM.
That structure I need something with, followed by the spec, that's a great takeaway right there.
It's perfect.
And that leads Jamie to recommend a model with this great, simple adjective. Jamie says it's very snappy. I love that word, snappy.
Snappy is excellent practical English. When we say a computer is snappy, it means it's fast, it's responsive.
It doesn't lag.
Exactly. It opens programs quickly. It communicates high performance without using, a bunch of technical numbers. It just means your workflow is going to be smooth.
Okay, so we've established the need using really great, simple conversational English. We know Alex needs a powerful, snappy machine.
Right.
So now Jamie has to deliver. Let's get into the specifics of what's being recommended. This takes us to the jargon, the specs.
This is where we break down the acronyms. Jamie mentions 4 things. The M3 chip, 16 gigs of RAM, a high-resolution display, and a 1 terabyte SSD.
So let's start with the hierarchy there. If I'm worried about speed for editing, what's more important, the processor or the RAM?
That is a great question because they're so interconnected. The powerful processor, the M3 chip in this case, is the brain.
The brain, okay.
It's doing all the heavy lifting, the complex calculations you need for rendering video or processing these huge images. Without a good brain, everything is slow.
But wait a second. If that M3 chip is so powerful, what does that do to the battery life? Or doesn't it make the laptop hot? We already heard Alex complain about the battery.
You have just hit on the critical nuance that so many sellers gloss over. That is the first essential trade-off. More power often means more heat and, yes, shorter battery life. So if you're shopping, you need to use your vocabulary to ask that follow-up. How does this powerful processor handle cooling during intensive tasks? That takes you beyond the basic specs.
That's a fantastic example. Okay, so now let's move to the second part. RAM. Alex asked for 16 gigs of RAM. If the processor is the brain, what's the RAM?
The RAM is the short-term memory.
Okay.
So if you're doing graphic design, you might have your editor open, a browser with a dozen tabs, music playing, maybe a huge Photoshop file.
Right, you're multitasking.
Exactly. RAM lets the computer keep all of those tasks ready and active at the same time. When you run out of RAM, your system slows to a crawl. That's when it feels extremely slow. just like Alex's old laptop.
So 16 gigs is kind of the new minimum for serious creative work.
I would say so, yes.
All right, next up, display and storage. Jamie mentions a high-resolution display. This seems obvious, but why is that so important for design work?
Well, for graphic design, you have to see color accurately and details clearly. High resolution just means the image is packed with pixels. It's sharp.
You can trust what you're seeing.
You can trust what you're seeing. But remember the trade-off here, too.
Let me guess. Battery life.
Battery life and often cost. Sharper screens use more power.
Of course. And finally, storage. A 1 terabyte SSD. Now, most people know storage, but that SSD part is crucial vocabulary.
It is. SSD stands for solid-state drive. It's the computer's long-term memory where all your files are saved. But the critical part is that unlike old mechanical hard drives, an SSD is lightning fast.
And that speed is what really matters for video editors, right?
It's non-negotiable. They have to open these enormous files instantly and save them quickly. The SSD speed determines how fast you can access your work.
So the 1 terabyte is just telling you how big that super fast filing cabinet is.
Exactly. And a terabyte is a huge amount of space.
Which I imagine comes with a significant increase in price.
It absolutely does. Storage is one of the most expensive specs. The price jumps a lot when you go past the standard models. You're paying for that capacity and that speed.
Okay, so by understanding the why, the brain, the short-term memory, the fast filing cabinet, you can understand the price tag.
Precisely.
That was a really solid deep dive into the specs. So now that we know what Alex is buying, we move on to the transactional English.
Money and the protection.
Exactly. And Alex asks the key protection question right away. What about the warranty? Does it cover accidental damage?
This is so critical. When you make a big investment, you have to ask about protection. And Jamie defines 2 levels here, and it's really important to understand the difference.
The first is the standard 1-year limited warranty. What does that word limited usually mean? What does it exclude?
Limited is the key word. It covers manufacturing defects. So if the screen just stops working because of a fault inside the machine,
Okay.
but it almost never covers accidental damage, what we call user error. If you drop it or if you, say, spill coffee on it.
Ah, the coffee incident.
I learned that the hard way in college. The limited warranty likely doesn't help you at all.
So for the coffee spill, you need the optional upgrade, the premium care plan.
Precisely. That premium care is designed to cover those specific expensive accidents that are truly your fault. Spills and cracked screens. Knowing the difference between the basic limited coverage and the optional comprehensive coverage is essential.
But even with that premium care, is there anything that's, commonly left out that a buyer should ask about?
Yes. A great question to ask. Often these plans cover the hardware, but they might exclude software issues.
Like viruses or data recovery.
Exactly. Viruses, operating system problems, getting your lost data back. So the really smart question is always, what is not covered by the premium care plan?
Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the discount vocabulary. Alex asks, is there any discount if I trade in my old laptop?
This is a perfect example of asking for a savings mechanism. The term is trade-in. You bring in your old item and their technicians evaluate it.
Which just means they check its condition and figure out what it's worth.
Right, and then comes the reward. The customer gets store credit, and this is a crucial financial term to understand.
Because it's not the same as cash.
Not at all. Store credit means you get money that is only usable at that specific store. It gets applied right there to your purchase. It's still a discount, but it keeps you shopping with them.
So if Alex needed cash, they'd have to go sell that old laptop somewhere else.
They would.
This dialogue is so practical, it even covers the little details. Alex's last question is, does it come with a charger, or do I have to buy it separately?
And that is the perfect question to end on. It's that small detail people just assume, or they forget to check until they get home and open the box.
Yeah, the phrases, does it come with, or is the charger included, are just fundamental.
And Jamie's response, don't worry, the charger is included, shows that it's a common question. A smooth transaction really relies on confirming all those small parts.
So let's just step back for a second. What does all this mean for you, the learner? Let's review the key takeaways.
I mean, we've mastered some really useful English phrases for these kinds of conversations, going way beyond the basics.
We really have. We learned how to define what we need, like a powerful processor and enough RAM.
And how to describe that performance level with a great word like snappy.
Right. And then we know how to talk about the components, like the fast storage, the SSD, and critically, how to protect the purchase by knowing the difference between a limited warranty and the comprehensive premium care.
And finally, we mastered the terms for saving money, the trade-in process that gives you store credit.
And when you put all that together, it allows you to navigate a really complex tech conversation with confidence. You're not just nodding along anymore, you're an active participant.
This is immediately useful stuff. It takes you from being a passive listener to an active, informed buyer on your very next shopping trip.
And finally, let's leave you with one final provocative thought. When you're buying something complex like this, the seller, Jamie, always frames the specs in the most positive light, right?
Of course. The M3 chip is powerful, the display is high resolution, the SSD is fast. It's all about the benefits.
So this raises a question. How can you use this new vocabulary to, well, flip the script? How can you ask questions that focus on potential weaknesses, not just the strengths?
That's a great point. For example, now that you know a powerful chip generates heat, you can ask, how is the cooling system for video editing? Instead of just, is the processor powerful?
Or knowing that a high-resolution screen drains power, you can ask.
You can ask, does the battery life actually match the power of the M3 chip when it's under a heavy load?
Using those learned terms to ask critical, challenging questions. That's the ultimate deep dive skill.
Go forth and shop smartly. Until next time, keep diving deep into the details.